Welcome, everybody. My name is Matt Molenar, and I own MGM Design right here in Yuma, Arizona. Welcome to the latest episode of the MGM Design Digital Media Strategy Interview Series. And I am so excited to share with you our guest today. Her name is Elizabeth Daniel, and she owns and has invented Elizabeth Daniel Art and Decor. And this is going to be a really fascinating interview because Liz has come up with a really innovative business model. It's an online business, and it is different than what anyone I've seen how they've approached selling online. So I can't wait to introduce you to her, hear her story, how she got started, how she built this customer base, and I think in the me wanting to maximize the value and your time and our time together, I'm going to bring her on right now and we're going to jump right in. Welcome, Liz. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Just a reminder for everybody that is going to be coming on and watching, and I'll kind of reset this a few times throughout our broadcast today. We can monitor the comments that people are posting as we do the Q&A. So if you guys watching this program have a question for Liz or something you'd like me to follow up on her, just put it in the comments and I'll keep an eye on that, and I get a little alert pop up when those comments come in. So I wanted to start by, number one, thanking you for joining us today. We have a friend in common right here in Yuma who is the amazing Lindsay Banaka, and she's a very good friend of mine, and we do a lot of stuff together, and that's kind of how we synced up. And so as we were talking, I kind of looked at your stuff online. Oh, and congratulations on being featured on CBS. That's what it was. Lindsay posted that, and I was like, oh my gosh, I've got to figure out who this person is. This is amazing. So I want to know more about that too. I need to make a note to add that question on here for everyone today. But yeah, so I can only imagine how this has impacted your business to be featured on CBS. But to just finish my intro, you said, okay, well, if you want to do this interview and you want to know what I'm all about, you need to sign up for my group and then watch the show on Friday. And show, not episode, show as in the craziness of how you do what you do. And so I did, and I'm so glad that I did because I was really blown away. So let me see. Before we start with my real first question, share with me how did the CBS interview come about, and how has that changed and impacted things?
So the CBS interview was a big surprise on its own, I guess. So I have a friend in Topeka. Her name is Chris Grandmontagne, and she is also a vintage seller. They reached out to her because they were wanting to do a story on like a circular economy and just buying vintage instead of buying new. I think they already had the Cherish a part of it lined up, so they were just trying to fill it out, I think. So I'm not sure if they asked her if she knew of anyone else who was a reseller who would be good for this, or if they how it came about. But she ended up giving them my name. Otherwise, I don't think they ever would have found me. So it was kind of happenstance, kind of just having good friends in the right places. That's it's been cool. And the way it affected the group was dramatic, to say the least. Yeah, it was cool. I think I approved 7,000 people in a day. So
wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And I'm going to get to that question about your group and the size of your group and your customer base. Mm-hmm. But before I ask you about that, and I think one of the reasons that I like that we open with that is, even in an innovative online business model that's different than what most people are doing, it's really interesting how traditional media can still have such a large impact on our online business models.
Right.
And it's something that I talk a lot about with my clients. And it's just because we're operating in this online space doesn't mean that there isn't value in traditional marketing techniques. But
That's true.
That's really interesting to know that you had that much of an impact. So going into your specific business model, tell me about this phrase that you guys have kind of adopted, which is shopping backward.
So I started saying shopping backward. It just feels for right now, until I think of a better term, the best way to describe what's happening. Because in not just America, but I mean, a lot of places now, the way you shop is and maybe forever, this is the way it's been, but there is an inventory of items. So, you walk in, there's lines of milk, there's lines of shirts, there's multiples of the same or similar things. And the way that I'm having people shop is not like that. There's not an inventory. There's just one of each item mostly. I mean, unless I'm lucky and found two or something. But for the most part, I just have one of everything. So there is what there is, and the first person to get it is lucky, but everyone else is in line, and it can be a little bit sad when I just don't have enough for everybody. I call it shopping backwards because I don't have inventory in a traditional sense. So,
Got it.
Yeah. And I have further thoughts, but
and I neglected to start this the way that I was going to start this, which was sharing more about my perception and my experience last Friday. But just to give everybody a little bit of context, the way that it worked was at a specific time. I think it was 4 o'clock Central, 2 o'clock for us here in Pacific time. It started. Right. Yeah. And everyone's sort of like in the group, and there's little chatter and there's little comments being made, and then bang, the first amazing vintage find. And the products range from clothing to knickknacks to furniture to decor to, I mean, it was across the board. And so you would post something, and then the first person that comments underneath that product gets it, or at least gets the
dibs.
First right.
Yeah, they get dibs.
Mm-hmm. And then people are like, they'll put just like next or me or next or next. And that way, if that first person drops out and they don't pay, or maybe in the heat of the moment, they committed to something they didn't want, you might get it as the next person, or it might go down and down and down.
Right.
And so, but I am talking in fractions of a second, items were being purchased over and over and over and over again. I'm sure there's a time where people, like, maybe you post something and nobody goes for it, but I didn't see that happen on Friday.
That has happened very few times, but but in the last year or so, that kind of has ceased. Now, I will say, when I first got started, I had once an entire picture that no one commented on. An entire picture.
Wow.
Nothing sold.
Like, and the picture had a whole, like, it was sort of like a setup photograph with all these different products.
Yeah, when I first started, just before I had the following, I mean, I grew this. It was very small, and it's grown to be this way. But as time has gone on, there are fewer and fewer times where nothing is bid on. And now we're at the point where maybe it'll be like one thing for the night, maybe two, but usually it's everything goes now.
And that's sort of the model. Is there's this teaser, and what Liz will do is stage a scene, right, with all of these products, and then people are like, ooh, I got my eye on that sofa.
I call that marinating. I like to put the picture up, and it's not just, I mean, it is a teaser, so I like that word, but I also like to stress the fact that it also gives you a heads up. Like, if I do like a theme that has nothing to do with your decor, it's also like hey, you can relax today. You know, this one maybe isn't your vibe, but it's probably going to be somebody else's vibe. So it just lets you know, like, do I want to come back at 4, or do I want to take a break this week? You know, so it just lets you know what's up.
I even remember there was one comment where someone was like, "Oh, I spy with my little eye a dirty light switch," and I'm like, "What the heck, Liz? That's a clean freak in the group, right?" And but then when the product came up, it was like a naughty light switch, and I was like, "Oh, now I get it. It's dirty." Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I thought that was a funny moment.
People have a lot of fun, I think, zooming in on all the different things. And like, I mean, sometimes people will ask, what is that blob? I can't quite tell. And so I try to do my best to answer questions. I mean, I want it to be like, I don't want it to be such a secret that you can't tell what things are. So I try to answer questions for sure.
And I'll commend you on that. And we're 2 questions away from talking about your group, but with so many people and so many questions, it's amazing that you're able to stay on top of answering everybody's little question or whatever. So before we go there, just give me let's kind of just to finish out the overview here. How did you come up with this idea?
So I don't like the word invented because I think, I mean, and this is probably true of a lot of artists, I feel like I didn't invent the idea. I feel like I picked it up a million different places and cobbled together a combination of things that were working for other people. As artists, like that's what we do. So I grew something out of the seeds that other artists left behind, if that makes sense.
Sure.
I mean, every single thing was picked up somewhere, and then a lot of it was trial and error. Like, I mean, when I first started the group, I just had a whole lot of stuff in my garage and a whole lot of stuff I needed to get rid of that was taking up space. But I knew it would be better than having a garage sale if I could like give the item a little bit of justice before I sold it, like do a little bit of research, like tell people where it's from, tell people why I think it's cool. So, you know, I'm not the first one to resell and I'm not the first one to come up with a Facebook group. But I am maybe the first one of this size. I don't know. I hate to say I'm like, I invented it because who knows? In this world, online people are doing stuff all the time. And I think the garage idea, I mean, I think I grabbed that from somebody who had taken pictures of dressers outside. And I was like, hey, that's good lighting. I could use my garage to set up, you know, more of a scene or more of a, you know, so everything was taken from somewhere. So I don't like to say I invented, but I do think that like a lot of it is trial and error too. The whole 4 o'clock thing, that was totally unintentional. I just didn't want to cloud up everyone's news feed every single day of the week. I didn't want to become annoying. So the only reason why I started at 4 in the beginning was because I just didn't want to crowd up your newsfeed. So then it kind of turned into, oh my gosh, she's posting at 4 and we need to be ready. And then I realized that it had kind of become this like almost anxiety inducing. It gives you a rush to, you know, try to bid on things. But in the beginning, it wasn't so cutthroat as far as all the comments and the me's and the nexts. And so that has just sort of developed. So I can't really take credit for that either.
It worked. I felt it. I was caught up in it too. And I was like, I'm just an observer, but I was like, no, I mean, I was seriously considering, and your items are super, super cool. I put up one comment that was just sort of like, Elizabeth Daniel, you are amazing. So someone that knows you, Lulu Stevens. And on one of our other channels, I saw that there was an actual question, which was, is there a specific genre or time period that you focus on, or is it just whatever treasures you find?
I think I do kind of have a style, but I wouldn't say that focuses on a specific time genre so much as just, I think the one word you could use that is maybe a common thread in all my photos is warmth. I try to make them look like home. So sometimes I have mid-century, sometimes I have like 80s, sometimes, I mean, and you know, over time trends have repeated themselves. Like there's Art Deco from the 30s and there's Art Deco in the 80s. So a lot of things get repeated, and this is no different. This is just a repetition of past styles that were popular. And honestly, I can feel inspired by all of them. So I usually have way more than one era, even in every single photo, but I try to make it look like home, because that's what our homes look like these days now too. I mean, as time has gone on, like maybe in the 40s, like your average home would only have one style because that's what there was available, or, you know, I mean, but as time has gone on, you can have grandma's embroidery and you can have your mom's sewing machine, and you can have, I mean, because so we are a cobble of years now, you know, that's of eras gone by and lives lived that we're connected to. So I like that it looks like home and it's incorporating all of the genres, all of the eras. And I kind of bring it together for this warm, homey look.
Spoken like a true artist and innovator, I would say.
Thanks.
Let me ask you next what I think is one of the most important questions that we're going to talk about today, which is, how did you manage to grow this nearly 15,000 user group, which I call your customer base?
Yeah.
Because so many people are trying to build something like that, and it's not easy.
I would say,
how did that happen?
In a word, consistency. I mean, I started doing this, and even when it wasn't super successful, I still loved it. So I just thought to myself, I mean, you could quit, but you're going to do it anyway. You're going to keep shopping. So might as well keep going a little. And, if things didn't sell, it wasn't that hard to pop them on Marketplace, Facebook Marketplace. And I realized that then they did sell. So then I would invite those buyers to the Facebook group, like, hey, I sell lots of vintage stuff. You should join this. So I think actually the part of that question that might be most interesting for me to answer is not really how I got to 15,000, because really CBS had a lot to do with the 15,000 number. The second half of my following just got here. So I mean, it's impressive, but I have CBS to thank. I think the impressive part of the first half of my following is that they're all local, or mostly all local. And the way I did that was just consistency and consistently sharing it in the local groups, consistently talking about it. I was already an artist. Lulu, who commented earlier, Lulu let me paint a huge mural in her bar. I met probably 1,000 people doing that, and I'm able to invite them to the group. So I think I've always been sort of an artist exhibitionist, as far as I am always letting people know what I'm doing. Hopefully not annoyingly so, but I've just always been out there and marketing myself. And so consistently doing that, I would say, is how I grew a local following. And then that started to snowball into things like CBS somehow. I don't know. That luck and consistency.
We've got more questions coming in. I think we'll luck is, so you said before you don't like the word invent. I don't like the word luck, because I think if anything else, it comes from instinct. And so, I can agree with you on consistency of trying to build a customer group like that. You've got to have that consistency. Yeah, I mean, it's all marketing. So a couple more questions that we have anybody that's watching, if you want to ask Liz a question about this business model, her specific business, or her as an artist, post it in the comments, and we're going to get to as many of these as we can. I also want to, this is a great time to kind of promote the group, which is a Facebook group. So here's the long URL, but all you really have to do is go into Facebook groups and search for Elizabeth Daniel Decor, and it will come right up, and you click join, and then you'll get approved here. It once, verified as human or whatever. So that is how you can participate next Friday at 4 o'clock Central, 2 o'clock Pacific, and maybe score something really awesome. So that leads me to the next question that just came in. What is the most profit you've made from an item that you got a steal on?
I don't know. Gosh, I haven't thought about that. That's a loaded question, because most of the really cool items that I find, I don't know if I am getting a super steal. I don't know if you could call it steal. I had a chair that I picked up out of the trash, literally out of the trash, so free. And I restained it, the legs and the arms. I didn't have to do anything to the upholstery, and I ended up selling that for $150. But it took some work. So, I don't know. I could have gotten a big profit off of a vase I sold a while back.
Oh, that was one of my teaser comments about the interview today. And so share that story. That story.
Okay. So I found a vase at the thrift store for 50 cents. Actually, maybe not a thrift store. I can't remember. I pick up so much stuff, it's kind of hard to remember exactly, but I think it said 50 cents on the sticker. So I know it was 50 cents. And I bought the vase. I liked it, of course. I put it in a picture, but wasn't able to, in a quick Google search, really find out a whole lot about it. And when I posted it, I said, this feels old to me. It looks cool, but I wasn't really able to find out much. And one of my super sleuths in the group was able to do a reverse image search and actually find something, which I had done too. So I'm not real sure why mine didn't work. But anyway, turns out it sold in an auction in 2003 for $27,000. So it is Friday scores. Part of the reason why it's so great is because it's not just a score for me. It's also a score for you, potentially to the tune of like $27,000.
Yeah. So I guess maybe that kind of is the answer to that question about what's the most profit. It's just you didn't make it, but someone did.
Well, I don't know. Hopefully they will, or they'll just have a cool story. I don't actually, if I was trying to make the most on each item, I would have to save them for a lot longer and wait for the right buyer. And that's not really how I operate. So I don't ever ask for the most amount of money that I could get. I also have been asked lots of times if I could move to an auction format, because I have people in my group that are willing to pay higher prices than what I'm charging to get the item. But I also don't want to do that because it's a lot to manage. And I'm really, really, truly in love with the idea that people can get a score for them that is at a price point that is attainable for them, and just have something cool to enjoy with a story. So
I echo that, as having participated last Friday. Things are priced affordably. Things are priced in a way where you're like, I could get in on that. And you talked about warmth and that kind of being the driving force between what you had and pretty much everything. I was like, oh, that would be a really cool statement piece in my home as well. Mm-hmm. So I would really encourage people to join the group, which is on the screen. I'm going to switch that banner up right now to your Instagram, which looks long and scary, but it's just your business name, Elizabeth Daniel Art and Decor. And if you put that in on Instagram, it will pop right up and see a ton of really cool stuff. But the reason I wanted to bring that up was to ask my next question, which is, what social media techniques have contributed most to your success? And keep in mind, we have a lot of businesses that are watching these interviews that want to grow their online presence and do better with social media. And we always are all grappling with, where do we put our time and what platform and what type of content? So within that context, I
have a very cliche answer to that question, and it's just being yourself. Like, if it's not you to post 4 times a day and it feels like you're forcing that, don't do that. Nobody wants to read 4 kind of empty feeling posts in a day. I mean, if you're posting and you are saying something that you feel strongly about, or you have emotion tied to it, then you're going to sound like it, and it's going to make for more interesting content. So I don't know that I'm doing the best job ever at at the technical side of things. That's not really, I apologized to you earlier that that's not where I excel. That's not the part of this I'm great at. So I don't know if I've ever subscribed to an actual model as far as social media goes. The reason why I started on Facebook is simply that I am better at Facebook than I am any other social media. And so I would encourage a business, you have to make it work for you. So I think probably if I had started this on Instagram, my following size could have been much bigger, much faster, just because it's easier with hashtags and things to spread out on Instagram than what it is on Facebook. But that's just not what I was good at. So it just wasn't me, So I don't know. I think you have be yourself.
Is there anything you do to stay current beyond just kind of saturating yourself in the different social media spaces?
Current in what sense, I guess? I mean, because style wise, I am constantly watching other stylists on Instagram. I mean, I'm just interested in that sort of stuff. So I'm following lots and lots of decor trends and people who are really good at it. So I'm staying current with styles because I'm genuinely interested in it, not as a way to grow myself, but I think it does translate into my work, because then the things that I'm seeing and start to think look cool are going to come out through my art and what I do in my page.
I think that does kind of answer my question. I get, by following what all of your other people that are in similar industries are doing, that keeps you current. But I was thinking more from like a technical standpoint, as far as like how to leverage hashtags best, or better to do video posts than static posts, or, things like that.
I don't, I don't. I think that probably there's room for growth there for me, but seems to be growing for me just fine by being myself and only posting when I really feel I have something to say, and not oversaturating and not undersaturating either. Like I was saying about consistency. I mean, like if I just went off the radar for 2 weeks, I don't know what would happen. So I'd probably lose a lot of momentum. I don't usually take too long of breaks, and I don't usually post too much. I try to just do what feels right.
That, to me, that translates into, I think the word genuine was key, and you doing what you feel reflects your personality best. And the other piece of that was value. Is hey, don't just make a post to waste people's time and so that you have a presence. Make sure you have something of value to share and contribute. Yeah. So I definitely resonate with that message as well. Is there any digital marketing that you wish you would have started doing earlier on in the formation of your business? And again, I'm thinking of businesses that are like looking to grow, like, oh dang, I wish I would have been doing that.
I do really wish that before I had a feature on CBS that I had a website. I really, really wish that. I needed a website.
Great advice.
Yeah. I think that when the rush of CBS followers came in, if I had been able to direct them to a website that explained all the information that you would need to know in order to follow my group in the best way, I think that would have helped clear a lot of things up. Instead, I was, just trying to keep everyone happy, answering their questions as quickly as I could, which, I'm also pretty good about doing. But I think it just would have made everything much clearer. So the earlier you can get a website, the better. And I know that they can be, cost prohibitive. They can be, because if you don't know how to do it yourself, you're paying someone to do it. And that's big. But, I think jump in as soon as you can. It would be my advice.
Well, that's a great opportunity for me to give myself a plug. So here at MGM, we do website development and help people with digital media strategies. So if you, the viewer, need help with that, please let me know. And if you would like to be on a future interview series, if you feel like what you're doing with your digital media strategy is something you'd like to share, please get a hold of me. And then just to sort of like summarize, in case anybody has just jumped on, we're talking with Liz Daniel Art and Decor. And she's kind of sharing some of her digital media strategies. So, and if you would like to ask Liz a specific question, post it in the comments and we can pop it up there. As I'm trying to figure out where I am on my list of questions for you, we did have one more come in that was, what is your background as a designer and artist?
So I guess I'm realizing I have a lot of terms that I don't identify with very well through this, like inventor and designer. I don't know if I am. I think I definitely have an art background. Absolutely. I've worked in lots of art galleries. I've worked in, 3 now. And then I have been an artist for almost as long as I can remember. If you'd asked me, I would have said, yes, I'm an artist. So I think when I put together these setups, I am putting them together compositionally the same way I would a painting. I'm making your eye travel around the picture. I'm using warm colors juxtaposed with cool colors and negative space next to busier spaces. I am designing a room in front of my garage it looks similar to one of my paintings, really, when you think about it and put it together in that way. So I don't know. I mean, interior design, I've always appreciated it, of course. I've always strived to make an appealing home in my own house, but it's definitely not something I have technically done. I think I'm an artist. And so as far as my background, I've done everything in art, from glass blowing to fiber weaving to I've dabbled in silversmithing, ceramics, you name it, stone carving, you name it. I have at least tried it because I love it. It doesn't mean I'm good at it, but it means I've tried it. And I landed on painting just because it's always the easiest, as far as like, it's not that hard to get supplies. It's not that hard to finish one fast. I do like instant gratification as far as being able to finish art fast. So I'd say my background is way heavier on the art side, but I think I might be going to get thrown into a design world here. So I better hit the ground running.
Hearing you describe that process, especially of like staging the photos and all of that, and talking about where your eye travels, you're definitely a designer, because I use that same type of terminology when I'm working with my clients. So you can own it.
Okay.
Okay. Next question, very, very difficult question, but sometimes it's easy for people. And so this question is, what is the secret to your success?
I think I could just echo a couple terms I've already said. Being genuine and being consistent. I mean, there's not a secret. The secret is there's not a secret. The secret is it's a lot of work at the same stuff all the time that might start to feel boring and might start to feel, definitely going to start to feel redundant. But if you don't give it up, you will eventually grow it. I mean, isn't that kind of like what life is? Like, if you work at something really hard, eventually it'll go somewhere. So I don't know if it's a secret. There's no glorious secrets here. I'm just somebody who really, really loves giving cool cool stuff and not having them be able to not afford it, or, you know, I just want people to love the space they're in. I feel really, really strongly about that.
I would say that is the secret, because I've thought a lot about what the secret to success is. And my answer is always to, from the beginning, when you're working with someone, that from your heart, your primary goal is to help them. Yeah. Then success will follow, the money will follow, the great product, the great solution will follow. And that's what I heard you just say, is that's why you're doing it, which is awesome.
And I think I am privileged in that, you know, I had the time and the energy outside of raising 2 kids to start doing this. And it felt like a hobby and it felt fun. And so to me, you know, not everything it can feel fun and like a hobby at first, but for me, it could. And so I just worked at it and it was easier to do. So, you know, I also think I'm just in a good spot to be able to do it.
Okay, we're winding it down to a couple of the last questions that I like to ask everybody when we do these interviews. So the first one is that, and this is kind of a canned for me question, but as those who know me know, I love to read leadership books and self-help books and these types of things all the time. And so my first question is, what book have you read recently that has had a significant impact on your business or your life?
So I'm not going to say I don't read, because I do. I love to read. But in recent weeks and year or so, it's harder to pick up an actual book. So I've been doing a lot of like audiobooks and podcasts. That way I can move my hands and work while I'm listening. So I have read several audiobooks, but when I read, it is for my own pure enjoyment. It's very just accessible, easy, fun reads. So I'm not saying I'm drawing a lot of inspiration from there, but podcasts, the latest podcasts that I've been listening to is it's about Dolly Parton. I just told Lindsay to listen to it. It just really, really dives into her life, and I find her fascinating. I've always liked her music, but Dolly has been able to stay true to who she is for her entire career. And she has people's best interests at heart. And you can tell she really just wants to make people's lives better. And so I draw a lot of inspiration from her. And then I also follow Tabitha Brown, it's so far away from what I actually do, but she is a vegan cook and she makes lots of cookbooks. And she does her recipes online, and she just has this like warm manner that I feel like the way she talks to her following is genuine, and the way she talks to her following is like they're there and they're friends with her. And I think I have been able to really draw a lot of inspiration from like the way people online who I look up to are talking to their following. So I know that, you know, a vegan cook and a singer-songwriter don't really have technically a lot to do with what I'm doing, but I think I can really draw inspiration from their voice and the way that they're portraying themselves. So I guess that's the best answer I have to that question.
That was the word that I was about. I'm ready to come out of my mouth was voice, because I think you also have that same voice, and I think that's probably a contributor to your successes, because even with 15,000 customer followers, everyone kind of feels like you're sort of friends.
Yeah, and I'm really trying to, I'm really trying to do that. And you know, when I meet these people in real life, like some of them have been buying from me for a couple of years and they are friends. Like I think about them, sometimes I message them, sometimes we end up talking about more than just sales. Like I think I just really like making friends.
That's great. Okay, next one of my wrap up. So just 2 questions left. What favorite quote would you like to share with everybody that's watching?
This one's easy. I love this quote. I've kind of been living by this quote my whole life. It's Georgia O'Keeffe, and she said, "I've been absolutely terrified every moment of my life, and I've never let it keep me from doing a single thing that I wanted to do." And I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you get scared. You think maybe something's not going to work out, but I think I said something similar to Lindsay once. If I feel like the only thing holding me back from my goal or my dream is me, then that cannot be. I have to find a way through it. So
that resonates with me as well, because with it being 2021, especially, that aligns with one of my mantras. And I don't want to say it because it's kind of crude and it would devalue our interview, but the takeaway is take action. Anyone that's watching this, if you're thinking about starting an online business, any business, or maybe doing some art, or maybe it's whatever it is that you're feeling like you could be doing next, take action. Now is the time. And I think that's what Georgia O'Keeffe was referring to.
Yeah.
Is that fear, maybe even fear of failure, isn't
everybody
enough.
has it. Everybody has it. But, if you can not let it stop you, that's best.
Love that. Okay. Any final thoughts or gold nuggets that you would like to share that I have not asked you about?
I don't think so. I think join my group. It's hard to really get a full understanding until you're there. So join my group and wait through a Friday. And if you want an understanding of what I do, that's the best way to do it.
So there's the group name right there at the bottom of the screen. I can't recommend it enough. I joined it. I went and experienced it last Friday. It was a blast. And thank you very much for your time today. Thanks for sharing all your wisdom with us today. And I really appreciate it. And I'm looking forward to next Friday.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Well, that wraps it up. Thanks everybody for commenting, watching, and all of that. And we will see you next time.